Hello everyone, this is Shikaina Margate and welcome to my vlog. For today's video, I am going to discuss about 10 grammar rules and 10 ways on how to effectively teach grammar inside the classroom. In a classroom setting, the first way is to teach grammar with authentic writing. To make grammar instruction stick, connect it to the student's writing. Introduce new concepts as students reach the editing stage of writing projects. That way, they apply the concepts in an authentic context. For example, if students are writing narratives, teach and practice how to punctuate dialogue. Then have students correctly punctuate the dialogue in their own writing. The second tip is to focus on usage over terminology. Research has repeatedly shown that teaching grammar as an isolated set of terms and rules to memorize is ineffective and can actually deter students from writing. You can build grammatical awareness and improve writing by helping students recognize, practice, and use grammar for authentic purposes. The third tip is to teach and assess one skill at a time. Do not inundate students with a set of rules and practices. Instead, give students time to learn, practice, and apply one concept at a time. When assessing writing correctness, focus mainly on the one or two concepts you introduced during the project. Fourth tip, scaffold learning through practice and application. Small start, have students practice skills on individual sentences. And for the finish big is to have them apply the same skills to whole pieces of writing, preferably their own. Do not skip this final step. The fifth tip is to engage with high interest mentor texts. Have students read with an eye for specific grammar conventions. Reading in this way helps students internalize grammar and develop good editing habits. For example, have students focus on an author's use of dashes. Discuss how the dashes affect the way the piece is read. Ask students what choices the writer made and why. Sixth tip is to model concepts. Visual learners benefit from seeing grammar, punctuation, and usage in action. Model an example for your class or show a video of a sentence being manipulated. By visualizing the movement of sentence parts and punctuation, students will see grammar as dynamic and purposeful. Seventh tip, emphasize sentence combining. Sentence combining exercises lead to improved writing. When students practice sentence combining, they build knowledge of phrases, clauses, conjunctions, and linking punctuation. At the same time, their sentences become more fluent and sophisticated. For the eighth tip is to reinforce and reflect on concepts. Students need repeated support and practice to build grammatical awareness. Progress is incremental and requires a literary-rich classroom with plenty of opportunities for reading, writing, and discussion. Ninth tip, don't mark every error. Marking every grammatical error does a student little good and diverts your attention from the content of your writing. Instead, focus on the one or two skills you practiced for a particular project. If you notice a recurring error, make the first correction and explain why you made the change. Underline or highlight the second example and ask the student to correct it in a similar way. This type of feedback works best at later stages in the writing process before students submit final drafts. The 10th and final tip, expect bumps on the road. As students attempt new grammatical structures and strategies, they may introduce new errors in their writing. That's okay. Treat these moments as a sign of progress. Now that we are done with the 10 tips on how to teach grammar effectively, let us now have the 10 grammar rules. In these grammar rules, subjects and verbs must agree in numbers. Rule number 1. If the subject is singular, the verb must be singular too. For example, she writes every day. The subject here, she, is singular, and the word writes is a singular verb. Rule 2. If the subject is plural, the verb must also be plural. For example, they write every day. Here, they is an example of plural subject, and write is an example of plural verb. Rule number 3. When the subject of the sentence is composed of two or more nouns or pronouns connected by and, use a plural verb. For example, the doctoral student and the committee members write every day. The doctoral student and the committee members are a plural subject. Therefore, the verb write is also plural. Rule 4. When there is one subject and more than one verb, the verbs throughout the sentence must agree with the subject. For example, interviews are one way to collect data and allow researchers to gain an in-depth understanding of participants. As you can see, the subject here is the interviews, while the verb are the way to collect data and allowing the researchers to gain an in-depth understanding of participants. Rule 5. When a phrase comes between the subject and the verb, remember that the verb still agrees with the subject, not the noun or pronoun in the phrase following the subject of the sentence. For example, the student, which is singular, as well as the committee members, which are plural, is excited. As you can see, the verb is singular because the first subject, which is the student, is singular. Rule 6. When two or more singular nouns or pronouns are connected by or nor, use a singular verb. For example, the chairperson or the CEO approves the approval before proceeding. Always remember that if the noun, singular noun or pronoun are connected by are, or nor, always use a singular verb. Rule 7. When a compound subject contains both a singular and a plural noun or pronoun joined by or nor, the verb should agree with the part of the subject that is closest to the verb. This is also called the rule of proximity. For example, the student or the committee members write every day. So, the verb should agree with the part of the subject that is closest to the verb. Rule 8. The words and phrases each, one, either, neither, everyone, everybody, anyone, nobody, anybody, somebody, someone, and no one are singular and require a singular verb. For example, each of the participants was writing to be recorded. Rule 9. Non-count nouns take a singular verb. For example, education, which is a non-count noun, is the key to success, followed by the verb singular, which is the is. Another example, diabetes affects many people around the world. The last rule, some countable nouns in English such as earnings, goods, odds, surroundings, proceeds, contents, and valuables only have a plural form and take a plural verb. For example, the earnings for this quarter exceed expectations. The countable noun, which is the earnings, is plural, and also the verb used is plural, which is the exceed. Another example, the proceeds from the sale go to support the homeless population in the city. And that would be all for today. I hope you learned something from it. Thank you for watching.